Okay, friends, welcome to all of you. A special welcome to the VIPs who have joined us today, Mr. Sriram Panchu, Sheila Behan, Mr. Rakesh Khanna, so many others who have joined us. Welcome to this evening. This is a very, very informal evening that we thought we will have together so that we can discuss more about Nandini than about her book. It's more about the author than the book, because the book is there and all of you can read it. It's a fairly concise book, not a mighty tome that would intimidate anybody, especially lazy people like me who always keep procrastinating and saying, okay, we'll read it tomorrow. So this is something that you can just curl up on the sofa and have a cup of coffee with you and start reading it and know all you want to know about mediation. Now, before we start off with that, I want to thank Nivaran for organizing this. So I want to say something about Nivaran. Nivaran, as you know, means redressal. So some senior advocates who got trained as mediators of the Supreme Court of India, they made a special request to me not to mention their names, but we all know them. So even if I mention the names, I will not be committing a breach of confidence. So they got together to upgrade their mediation skills after having undergone the mediation training. And they wanted to, through a process of continuous legal education. So at the beginning of 2020, they started organizing lectures. The first lecture was in January 2020, when Mr. David Miller, a very distinguished mediator from England, was invited to speak. This was organized at the Indian Law Institute. This was not a virtual meeting, it was an actual meeting, physical meeting, because till then the whole world was still open. There was no lockdown. It was in the presence of Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, Justice Hema Kohli, and also Justice Kurian Joseph, retired. Of course, after that, the pandemic brought the whole world to a standstill, as we all know. But then the outbreak also had its positive side. We quickly adapted to technology, and as a result of which we could, sitting in our houses, we could attain a global outreach. So Nivaran started an international webinar series along with the Commonwealth Lawyers Association and the Youth Bar Association of India, with distinguished speakers from within India and abroad. Now, the first one was on post-COVID mediation, followed by an all-women webinar. And the third one was on the scope of mediation in sports disputes. Speakers from various jurisdictions shared their knowledge and experience in the field of mediation and about thinking of resolving disputes through mediation despite the diversity of jurisdictions. But similarly, continuing with the lecture series through virtual mode, they had at least about half a dozen lectures where speakers from India and abroad shared their knowledge and experience. And I'm grateful to them that they gave me also an opportunity to take part in one of the webinars. The topics for discussion at the international webinar and the lecture series were on post-COVID mediation, online protocols, ethical values, regulation of cross-border mediation, and legislative mechanism, use of mediation skills in mainstream legal practice itself, the development of peace jurisprudence, psychodynamics of mediation and community mediation. I need to mention some of the distinguished speakers. Who participated in the various webinars. Among others, there were Justice Indra Banerjee, Justice A.K. Sikri, former judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Vasisht Kokaram of Trinidad, Lady Justice Joyce Alok of Kenya, I hope I'm pronouncing the names correctly, of Kenya and ICC, Justice Graham Mew, Canada, Judge Francis Bell, Barbados and UN, Mr. Sriram Panchu, Mr. Niranjan Bhatt, Mr. George Lim of Singapore, SIMC, Brian Spears, President of CLA, Mrs. Nadia Alexander of Singapore, Derek Murray, former Test cricketer from Trinidad, And above all, we had Baroness Patricia Scotland, who was the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. So all these webinars received a very high viewership, participation, and a very extremely positive and encouraging response from across the world. They were educative, they were informative, and also served as a continuous means of knowledge sharing and growth in the field of mediation. So we can give a virtual round of applause to Nivaran for the excellent work that they're doing. You can just click on the icon. Sorry, I think I clicked the wrong icon. I don't know, maybe, or we can just clap. So thank you everyone for taking part in today's meeting. As I said, this is a very informal tete-a-tete that we are having with Nandini. As you all know, she has written this book, a handbook of mediation, on mediation. I had the pleasure of going through this book. The only thing I found missing here was my name. So I decided to rectify that error by writing my name on the cover, just on the next page. So apart from that, I found this as a very useful book. So before really going into the book, I want to ask Nandini some personal questions because we would like to know who she is. So Nandini, tell us something more about yourself. Apart from the fact that, we all know you're a top lawyer, you're an ace mediator. Who is Nandini?
First of all, I would like to thank Nivaran for conducting this program, and would also like to thanks and say my namaskar to all the seniors from whom I have learned. And I could see Mr. Sriram Panchu on the screen. Sir, thank you very much. He is the most important inspiration in my life towards mediation, which I'll talk later on, and which I have referred in my preface also. So first of all, who's Nandini? Nandini is a woman of this century, and she's a female, and she's very, very proud of being a woman and in this competitive world. And she's a mother, she's a daughter, she's a wife, and she's having so many hats on her head. And with that, she is also a litigator, she's a corporate lawyer, and she's a mediator. So this is how I want to describe myself. And I feel and that I'm a good human being also. And I have those qualities of listening, which is very important for any human being now these days. The way that this world is going, the criminal, mindset, and all these things are there. Very bad, negative things are there. So what mediation always taught us that, you should be a good listener. So I believe that I am a good listener also.
Okay, that's great, Nandini. Now you said, you juggle so many different hats. You're a lawyer, you're a mediator, you're a wife, a mother, now you're a writer. Just tell me, how do you manage to juggle, so many roles in your life?
See, Jawad, my late father used to tell us that usually people say that, 24 hours are very less in our life. But I feel, yes, he's right. But if we manage our diary properly, we can do many things in life. So most important thing is managing your time and managing your brain, your mind. Because if your mind is cluttered with many things, that I want to do this also, I want to do this also. So, first of all, you had to fix up your priorities. What do I want in my life? I want to be, see, this profession I have chosen being a lawyer at my own risk and cost. And there is a support system for me at the back end. The family is there, the family support is there. Then I am lucky enough to be in this profession. So for that, I have to manage my things. I can't leave my house aside and just run in the court in the morning, first thing in the morning. No. After coming in this profession, I got married. I had two children. I had my husband. So total three children. That at time my mother-in-law was also there. Now she is no more. So time management is the most important thing. And I always thought that if I'm a lawyer and if I'm working in a law firm, I should tell everybody that I am working in a law firm called Karanjawala and Company, and they are one of the best people to support women lawyers, which is the most important thing. And other people should also learn from this, that a woman, if she's working in your organization or in your company, or in fact if she's arguing a matter in the court also, and if she's having some problem, the employer or the senior or whosoever is the person who is above that woman should encourage her. Encouragement is the most important thing in our life. So I got at every stage encouragement from my parents, from my in-laws, from my husband, from my law firm, and from all the seniors under whom I have worked. So a woman has to handle so many things. She has to take care of her children. Now she has to take maternity leave also. Sometimes she has to go and attend parent teachers meeting in the morning. So hundreds of things are there, but if people who are there who to support you are supportive and encouraging you, you can achieve anything in this world.
Okay. Well, okay, that brings me to my to a very important question that I wanted to ask you. Has Jijaji, by the way, joined this meeting?
No,
Dilip Saab?
Jijaji will be seeing the recording later on.
Oh, I see. Okay. I wish he was here. He would be happy with my next question. Okay. How much has he suffered while you were writing this book? What are the sacrifices that he had to make? See, we always say, behind every successful man, there is a woman. And a woman's sacrifices have gone into making the man the success that he is. Now, you are, a typical successful woman, a professional who has, reached a stage of a career where she's well known. She's one of the, she's part of one of the biggest firms in India, and she's well known ace mediator and all that. So how much has he sacrificed? What do you think that?
So, frankly speaking, Javed, I'll tell you, the companionship, the marriage itself is you have to have trust in each other. And whatever your counterpart is they doing, you have to support that. So, I have to support his business, whatever he is an engineer. So, I had to support him in building in his company, right from making the logo of his company. We work together. Later on, when I joined the profession and I wanted to write my advocate on record exam, that time my children were very small. So he was the one who took responsibility of the children. My son was at that time 3 years old and my daughter was just born. So he took them to our hometown in Baroda, and he said that you study, and the full-time maid was there at home. And that was the support system I had from right from that time. And like you're asking me sacrifices, so the plan of writing this book was in my mind in 2019, and I started doing the research work, though I must give credit to Aditi Bhatt in my office, who did a lot of research for me. And I was doing a lot of research and reading international journals and books also. And Mr. Sriram Panchu's book was my main Mahabharata and Gita, and I was reading that also. And I thought that I will write it, and it will take me at least 2 years to write the book. With my profession, it is not easy. And I think February end and March the lockdown started, and lockdown started rigorously in March and April. So I thought that I should write this book, and I announced at the home that I'm going to write the book. And early morning and evenings is my own time, and I'm going to do that. So Mr. Gore has suffered a lot because I never, when we were at home, all women, at least we ventured out in kitchen, and we were doing some small things like making upma or poha. So he was devoid of all that things, and I told him that only one meal I'll see that I can do something, and I'll cook it for you. And there were many occasions when the family was thinking that they will have some get together or late night party. So everything was a big no at that time, because writing, then editing, then doing a lot of research and reading the book again. So yes, Mr. Gore has sacrificed. Not only Mr. Gore, my whole family supported me. I must say. In fact, my office staff also supported me a lot, because sitting at home and writing was not a, because we are all the lawyers, we are so used to of giving dictations. So when the steno is there and we can, and a flow comes in your mind that you want to write so many things. But the stenos were also at home, and I have written about our office steno called Urvashi Mathani. She was the one who whenever I used to call her that, Urvashi, I want to give you 1 hour dictation for chapter 1 or chapter. She never said no, and this was the support system I had. Amazing support system.
That's really great. I'm sure, I think Dilip Saab was tiptoeing around the house silently without making any noise so that, you don't shout at him. It shouldn't distract you in some way. And the fact that, even the children seem to have extended their full cooperation. I mean, of course, they are grown-up children now. So I think they recognize their responsibility, and I'm sure they would have cooperated with you.
Yes, of course, everybody
Yeah.
has cooperated. And children are grown up children. Let me tell you, I have a daughter-in-law also, and she is the one who helped me in making my video of the launch, because Mr. Nariman told me that nobody should come, only the family, and he
Okay.
allowed me to take some videos. So everything, the compilation was done by them. So you're right, Jawad, that behind every successful man, there is a woman. And I don't call myself a successful woman, but yes, I am thriving. I am trying to achieve what I want, but support system is very, very important.
So, what I heard you saying was that the kitchen was still your responsibility.
I take pride in taking this responsibility, and I don't feel that there is, anything less or inferior. Yes, but I'll tell you, Jawad, the problem with our generation was that, I don't want to take names, but uh, like my husband or other people of our age group, their parents taught us that, that culmination of that discipline was not there. That kitchen is not only a female's responsibility, it is a responsibility to by shared by both the people. But now I see the younger generation, they treat each other at par, and they are happily doing the kitchen work. I see my son and my daughter-in-law, they are in the kitchen, and they are enjoying the responsibility, and they enjoy the culinary skills, which maybe like my husband, I don't know about Sriram Panchu sir is watching. Did he like to go in the kitchen and do it? There is some mindset thing, some patriotic things are there which need to be changed now.
Yeah. No, that change is happening, Nandini, because during the lockdown, I learned to boil milk and make coffee for myself. So I must, but that was the only extent to which I could go. And, Anu would also allow me into the kitchen because she says I make a mess of everything over there. So she stops me. I'll just ask Mr. Sriram Panchu, what about his, does he enjoy cooking? Does he do any cooking or?
I do, but I'm more an expert at cooking up things.
That's a good one, sir. That's a good one. Can always expect those, one-liners from Mr. Sriram Panchu, which really go to the core. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But let me say, Nandini, you deserve all congratulations for bringing out such a concise as well as a detailed book. Really.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful, ready reference.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so now let's come to the book, Nandini.
Yes.
As I said, the only thing missing in the book was my name, which I have, set right at least in my copy. Now, the first thing you do when you turn the book over is forward by none other than Fali Nariman. Okay, now share with us the secret. How did you manage that?
Secrets are not to be disclosed, but still you're like, if you're asking me, I'll tell you. Uh, you know, uh, as a senior partner in Karanjawala and Company, I have been going to his office for the last, say, at least 20 to 22 years. And we all know the backside garden, the front garden, the upstairs conference room, and have briefed him in numerous matters. So during the conferences, I used to see him that he is such a good listener. And whenever there is a high profile matter going on, and at least 20 people are talking together, and a junior, a person, who's a meek spectator and sitting at the back and want to say something and will try to raise in hand, he will tell everybody to shut down, and he will say, yes, Mr. or Miss, what do you want to say, and that person will put his ideas behind him. And he'll say, sir, I don't know whether I'm correct or not, but I want to say that this is the proposition of law in this particular matter. And if he finds something good, he will praise that person in front of everybody. And that is a quality this man has. And with that, I was observing him for so many years. And one fine morning when I went for a conference, I told him, sir, I have seen Mr. Sriram Panchu's book, and you have given your forward in that book. I also want to write a book, and will you give me your forward? What humbug are you talking? First, you write the book, send it to me, I'll read it, and then I'll tell you whether I will give it to you or not. Fine. Then April month, I called him and I said, sir, I have started writing the book, and I'll see to it that how much time you will take? So I told him, sir, I'll try and finish it by August or September. Then I kept calling him and I tell him, sir, should it be a detailed book? And he was very, very easygoing and very good with me. He told me that, there are many detailed book on this subject. So if you want to write something, it should be a ready reckoner type of a thing. And it should be handy, and it should be, it should be like a vitamin pill. Anybody who wants to read it, not only a lawyer or a mediator or a layman or a corporate person or somebody sitting in the government department, reads the book, will understand what is mediation. First of all, people think that mediation is also some law. Many people are not aware of it. So he said, you should write in simple language. So then I said, sir, fine, I will do that. And I did. And I went and gave him the manuscript. By that time, Babsi auntie, his wife, was very ill. And she was in and out of hospital. So I couldn't say anything to him. In the month of November, one day his office called me and he said, sir has started making the forward. And there is another story to this, that I used to call and I used to say, is the forward ready so that I can compile the book and give it to the publisher? So the Subhash, who is his right hand, he told me, Nandini, you think that he is going to write a forward like this? He will make at least 15 drafts. He will keep changing it, and he will then do it, and then only he'll be able to send. We will be able to send you. So look at the man at the age of 92. He has this passion of, he never said that I will not give you any forward. He keeps writing his articles in the newspapers. Whenever you go to meet him, he will give you, because if he knows that you have a particular passion, he will give you some newspaper cutting regarding mediation. In fact, I must tell you that the day I went for the launch, he gave me Mr. Sriram Panchu's article in the newspaper recently in February. He has written on mediation. He said, see, I kept this for you. So this is the greatness of the man, and we have to learn.
Definitely. Actually, the foreword is more or less virtually a thesis on mediation, if I may say so, because the kind of facets he has brought in. See, we all are used to this orange story, right? Everybody who talks on mediation uses the orange story as an example, an example of integrative bargaining or negotiation and all that. I have used this example many times. I've heard many people using the example, but I never thought of going into. I just thought it was a story that was just came up naturally. Okay, But then when I read the foreword, I came to know that it was Richard Hill, an arbitration lawyer from Switzerland, who has championed the cause of mediation by giving this example.
Correct.
And this Fali Nariman has mentioned in the foreword. So that was very interesting because a man like him, a hardcore litigation lawyer, for decades he has been a litigation lawyer. For him to, do so much of research for the purpose of writing a foreword is something really incredible. And I think not only you, we the readers are also very lucky that he agreed to and he's given such a beautiful foreword to your book. Okay, now Nandini, see there are many books on mediation. Okay. Mr. Sriram Panchu's book is there. Recently, Chitra has written a book. There are so many other books which are there. Now, what is unique about your book? Why should I read your book?
So yeah, very interesting question, Jawan. There are so many books which are available, and all the books, see, the writers of the book have gone in detail in writing the book. And when you read the book, okay, I will not talk about other people's book, but I will say about my book, why one should read it. So I take a pride in saying this, that this book is very, very crisp, very lucid, you can say. And when you read other books, they are on a particular topic. For example, emotional quotient, your relationship with the, when you are a mediator, ethics to be followed. There are books specially written on ethics. There are books specially written on body language. There are books specially written on the evolution of mediation. There are books specially written on different treaties on mediation, and then at the latest, the Singapore Convention. So there are books which are separate books you have to read on mediation to grasp, to go in detail. There are different judgments on mediation by Supreme Court, for example, right from FCON to so many other. So here I always wanted that I should write something which should be very, very crisp, very handy. A lawyer or a person who's going in government departments, anywhere, like even a teacher, maybe she has a problem in her school and she want to file a case, or a student, so they should have something in their bag and they can just read it, flip the pages and see simple 10 chapters. And I added at the end a chapter on online mediation also, where I did some mediation with the Supreme Court Mediation Center online, and I first time learned that how easy it is. But at the same time, there are certain lacunas also when you're doing online mediation. For example, you can't see the body language, you can see the facial expressions rightly, and there are certain privacy issues also. So I said that let me add this also, because this is now going to be our part of our lives, online mediation and online court matters. So this is what all I wanted to add. Then I gave a special chapter to way forward, what all we want, all the mediators we want, what the government has done, the legislature has done till now. We have been attached with the mediation, as Conciliation and Mediation Act. There is a small reference. The whole thing started with the Industrial Dispute Act, where the conciliation part was there, and slowly, right, in the Hindu Marriage Act, Companies Act, now they are going to do it in different type of matters. Though they are saying that criminal matters it should not be used, but where is the legislation? For so many years we have been crying. Mr. Panchu is the one who insisted on that we should sign the Singapore Convention. And I remember him going to the government officer so many times. He used to come from Chennai, and finally we are a signatory. But where is the binding effect? So I wanted to take all these points also, that if somebody sitting there reads the book and sees this chapter, I have just written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We want all the mediators in the country wants these things to be done. A proper legislation. Why can't we have a mediation act in our country? So these are all the things I wanted to, put forward. And I taken small things like med, which is a known thing. But for a common man, if you write in 500 pages, he will read it and he will understand only 20% of it. So I thought, let me give some headings, let me give some small definitions which I have picked up from different places, and try to make it more interesting for the reader to read. And that is what I feel is special about my book. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, here is what I found something very interesting in your book, which I have not come across anywhere. At page 25, you have given a mediation timeline starting from 1800 BC.
Yes.
You have spoken about the Mari kingdom, which was in what is known as modern Syria.
Yes.
Okay, starting from there, you have spoken about the Phoenicians. You have spoken about the Panchayat in India from 500 BC, in China. Then it goes on until we come to 2010, which is Afghans
Correct.
judgment. Right.
Correct.
Now, how did you manage to do the kind of research that is needed for this? And
See, I again, I'm saying that I have read Mr. Panchu's book. I have also read many other books. There is a book from The Art of Negotiation and Mediation by Omkar and Kritika Krishnamurthy. So I picked and I read it, and I have given credit to them also. Many
Okay.
things from their book also. They have done a
Yeah.
lot of research.
Hmm.
Then I have read many international manual also, and I'm a part of organization called International Academy of Mediators. It's situated at Canada, and I keep attending. Me and my partner in crime, Varuna Bhandari, every year twice we attend those conferences, and we learn a lot from them. They also give us a lot of study material, which is not only to be kept in your shelves, but it is to be read properly, and you learn so many things. So another thing I want to tell everybody, that attending the conferences is not only going there and just listening to the speaker for some time and then just collecting the diaries and the pens and the material and come back home. And mind you, going to this international academic conferences itself was a very, very tiring exercise for us. 10 to 12 hours of journey, then attending the conference. And there the conferences, they start right in the morning at the tip of clock. You have to see 8 o'clock in the morning they'll start. There will be a lunch time for 10 to 15 minutes. Then there will be a tea break. And till 8 o'clock, the conference is going on. And then they also do the, role plays are done. Then they will ask you 100 type of questions. So your originality comes. And research, of course, I have done a lot of research. I also went to Supreme Court library to find out many other books also, and for this chart also I did a lot of research for that also, and finally I managed to do this.
Okay, that's great. You forgot to mention the beautiful pictures that you and Varuna take when you go for these conferences. And
but they are all over on the Facebook.
yeah, I know. That is where we get to see them. And
Yes.
unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we are not getting to see those pictures anymore.
We missed 2 conferences, and I
Yeah.
hope that we will be going in October. They are going to have it in Munich, so let us see.
Yeah. As we say, inshallah.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Now, where do you see mediation going in the country? So what do you think are the main roadblocks, and how do we overcome those roadblocks?
So I am going to be very, very candid, and there are certain people who are listening to it who may not like it, but I have my view, and I'm going to put the view because I got this podium to speak.
I think
First
India
of
is
all,
still a free country.
Yeah, you added a word,
At
quote
least,
unquote, still. Yeah.
somewhat at least.
First of all, in India, all the court annexed mediations are going on. Very, very few matters are there where, private mediation is being done. The High Court is having Madhyam, the Supreme Court is having Supreme Court Mediation Center. In Chennai, you have your mediation centers. Then we in Patiala House, in Tisagari, in Dwarka, everywhere we have mediation centers, and the court sends the matter for mediation. So we are at the mercy of courts to send the matters to the mediation centers, and the mediation center will allot the matter to A, B, or C, and then we will be doing the mediations. If I take a private mediation, for example, a foreign party, we will talk about it in as per the Singapore Mediation Convention. There also we are helpless. Our arms are amputated because how are we going to do an international mediation or a mediation which is private mediation? I also see that in government departments, there are matters which come to Supreme Court with a delay of 100 days, 500 days, 1000 days. Land acquisition matters are there. Certain petty matters are there. Service matters are there. Some matters are there which can be mediated. I'm not saying that every matter is fit for mediation, because we need to have courts, we need to have pronouncement of judgments, because those judgments are rule of law and we all are governed by that. For example, if a particular judgments come on triple talaq or very important judgments, so those judgments we need to have, and we are not saying that everywhere you do mediation, but we have to have a set formula, a set legislation for that, which is not happening, Jawad. I don't see for the last so many years, people like Mr. Panchu, there are other seniors also who have been tying that now they say that the a draft is ready. So there are many, many roadblocks.
Okay, now since you decided to be candid,
Yes.
I want to ask you one question. Do you think judges make good mediators?
Oh my God. If some judges are there, some retired judges. You mean to say retired judges or sitting judges?
See, retired judges, that's a different matter altogether. Okay. Sitting judges, do you think they make good mediators, or do you think they should be mediators when they are still in holding their posts?
I will dilute your question first, and I'll say that the first of all we will take the retired judges. After retirement, many of the judges, they have been taking these mediation classes. They are doing this 40 hours mediation classes,
Yes.
and some of them are excellent. Some of them are excellent, and they are doing a good job. And I am no one to say I am very, very junior in front of them, but I feel, personally I feel, that sitting judges, they have a certain mindset. They are the judges. They have to decide who is wrong, who is right, on the basis of the evidence or on the basis of the set case law, which is law of the country. So for in front of them, when a case comes, they think on the basis of that. Even for a matrimonial matter, if a matter goes before them, a wife is saying, right, restitution of conjugal rights. So what he will do? He will look at a section in the Hindu Marriage Act, and accordingly he'll decide. Or if there is a tax matter, he will look into the tax act. Or if there is a criminal matter, he will look into the act. If there is a constitutional right, Article 19 or Article 14, he will say, this person is covered, infringement of his right. So his mindset is different. Sitting judges, according to me, can't be a good mediators. That's my answer.
Okay. That's very bold of you to say that. But I think you have a point, because, when you are conditioned, I see two things there. One is from what you said. One is that you are conditioned to decide between right and wrong. And therefore, that becomes a sort of a constraint to you to move beyond that narrative and see things in a different perspective altogether. which is required of a mediator.
Uh,
But there are some. Huh,
Sorry.
yeah,
After you finish, I want Mr. Panchu also to give his views on this.
yeah, definitely. The second aspect, what I see is the aura that goes with the sitting judge, because parties know that you are a sitting judge, and therefore, how are they going to respond to you is one question. That whether the aspect of self-determination would still be available to them, or whether that gets compromised. Sir, Mr. Sriram Panchu, can you enlighten us on this, sir?
I agree with what Nandini said. In the first place, uh, judges are far too busy. In the second, they are cast in an adjudicatory mode. Um, Thirdly, you never know how much a party is agreeing to something because he feels there's a suggestion from a judge that he must agree. Um, so I think mediation is best done not by sitting judges.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. In the same vein, Nandini, do you think, see, we are now talking about women leaders who are, making a distinction, making quite an impact, world leaders, we have Jacinda Ardern, we have the Finnish Prime Minister, we have the example of Angela Merkel, women leaders who are making a terrific impact on society through their, one of the finest qualities that they have, that is empathy. So keeping that in mind, do you think women make better mediators than men, or do you think both are equally balanced?
Uh, Again, I am very candid, and I feel, and my 100% vote is there, that women can make good mediators. Men, of course, they are there. There's no doubt. But since we are talking about women and women empowerment and all this thing, empathy and sympathy both are part of a woman's life. Uh, a woman, when she's born and when she gets married, she gives birth, there are so many hats she's putting on her head. For example, this I went for some conference where again Mr. Panchu was there and Varuna was also there. So the speaker was a teacher in a school, and what she was saying that a mother is the first mediator in our life. For example, if the young teenage son, he goes out and he comes back late in the night, and he tells his mother, please don't tell anyone, please don't tell my dad, just don't tell him that I have come late, because in the morning I'll otherwise get a good verbal bashing or bashing from him. So mother is the one, he will call his mother on the phone or text her and tell her, I'm there at the door, please open the door. And the mother will go and open the door, and she will say she will let him in. So what is she doing? She is avoiding the conflict. Then otherwise also, when a brother and sister in a family, they are fighting, she is the one who will take the lead role. She will try and tell them that, okay, what is the problem, why are you fighting? In fact, I have seen in many families, the folks in the family, they go to the woman in the house to get it resolved. So I think that woman has a sixth sense also. She can read your facial expressions, and she has something, I think, that she can be a better mediator, definitely.
Okay. Coming from you, I'm not surprised with that observation. Okay, Nandini, now I want to put some rapid fire questions to you. Okay. And I want
Rapid fire.
rapid fire questions, and I want answers like this from you. Okay. Are you ready for the challenge? It's going to be something like coffee with Karan.
Am I going to get some hamper? Am I going to get some hamper? Is it Karan Johar show or what?
I think Mr.
No, no, I'm
Rakesh
just
Khanna
joking.
will.
Yes, I'm ready.
Mr. Rakesh Khanna will give you the hamper. Okay. So here
Yes, I am
goes.
ready.
Okay, very good. In your opinion, who's the second best mediator in India?
I know the best mediator in India. I know only one person, Mr. Sriram Panchu is the best person. He is the one because of him, the Ram matter. First time the Supreme Court, decided that such a big matter should be sent to mediation, and then mediation came into light. So I know only about the first person. I don't know about the second. There will be
No,
a
I
fight.
deliberately asked you the second best mediator. I didn't ask you the best mediator. Because one, modesty also prevented me from asking you that question. Just in case you tell it is you, then it will be
Okay,
very embarrassing for me.
Mr. Jawad is the second best mediator in the country.
Okay, you have again placed me in a very embarrassing situation, but I don't mind playing second fiddle to Mr. Sriram Panchu. It's an honor. Thank you. Okay. Who's the person to whom you have never told a lie?
God.
Oh, wow. What a diplomatic answer. So don't show, edit this portion when you show it to Dilip Saab, okay?
No, but I'll say, you know what, I don't place husband equal to God, but uh, one should not do that, because if we say, then they should also say that we are also goddess, which I don't know how many men will agree. But a husband-wife relationship is totally on the basis of trust, and that trust is till 30 years of our marriage.
Okay, very diplomatic answer again. Okay. Say one word connected to mediation that would describe you as a person.
Me as a person.
Yeah.
Peace.
One word connected to mediation that would describe you as a person.
Peace.
Peace.
Yes.
Okay. Now I agree with that, because looking at you, one feels, you're a person totally at peace with yourself. Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The last question. Are you a better lawyer or a better mediator? Why do you think so? Whatever your answer is, why do you think so? The reason for that.
I'll tell you, I am a better lawyer till now, but maybe in another 5-6 years, when I do a lot of mediations, I am doing a lot of mediations, but still I feel that I had to learn a lot in the field of mediation. But as a lawyer, I have been in the court for last 25 years, so I'm a better lawyer. But since mediation is my passion and I am learning the skill, I am still a learner. I will be a better mediator definitely one day, but that will take time. I am still learning.
That's wonderful. That is humility and honesty combined together. Thank you so much, Nandini. That brings us to the end of our session today. And Nandini has been a real sport. She has been very candid in her answers. Hats off to her for that. And it's a wonderful book. I would urge all of you to read it. In fact, it can also be considered as a sort of a manual for some training programs, at least for the basic training programs, because it covers the A to Z of mediation, when it from how mediation is done, the history of mediation, an overview, all the laws relating to mediation. So it can be a very good reference point for all these things for those who are planning to become mediators. Thank you very much, Nivaran, for this opportunity, and we can now open the floor to questions. Any questions that I think we have Justice MC Garg, who has joined us, former judge of the Delhi High Court. Welcome, sir. And Mahalakshmin Pawni, senior advocate and senior executive member of the Supreme Court Bar Association. So welcome to both of you. So any questions, you can even unmute yourself.
Yes, Nandini, now a direct question. When is your next book coming?
I have to get,
got my question?
Yes, I got it, sir. Sir, let me get some feedback on the book. I want some critics also to say something about the book. And definitely I'll absorb them, and I'll see to it that in my next book I'm more careful, or I take one topic one by one, and write a detailed book on a particular part of mediation. This I have written, uh, it's a very crisp book, and I wanted to go in details, but I purposely thought that I should write a very concise book, which is to the point. But next time, definitely, when I get the feedbacks from different people, when the court starts and I start meeting more people, or people whom I have sent the book, they have to read it, because all of them are very busy people. So once they read it, and once they send their candid remarks, because at the end of the book I have given my email ID, so you are all welcome to give your feedback, your remarks, or your views, that we would like you to write something on this particular topic. I will definitely do that, but definitely for the next 2 years I will not. I will take some time to write it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Nandini. I think there are.
the
Yeah,
second
sorry.
question of mine is which I'll request you first to answer, and then Javed sir, and last Mr. Sriram Panchu. This is a common question to all. What's the scope of pre-litigation mandatory mediation, like we have initiated in the Commercial Act? Do you think that we can replace Section 80 of the CPC, where you see a notice to the government is necessary for government action against the government? Can we replace Section 80 and make it mandatory pre-litigation mediation to be attempted by the government and the person attempting against the government?
Oh, yes, I am definitely for it. And this is what, in fact, in my, the way forward, I have written it. And I have been saying from the beginning. In fact, I met many people and I said, why can't in every court, when we are filing a matter, may it be a lower court or a high court or in Supreme Court, there should be a form when a client comes and files a matter that pre-litigation mediation is mandatory. You try that, and then you avail the second opportunity. Why not? What is wrong in that? My seniors can throw some light on that, but I am all for it, and I feel that this should be done.
Sir, would you like to answer, Mr. Sriram Panchu?
I think pre-litigation.
Your response, and then Mr. Panchu, let us have the three opinions.
So you want me to get caught, is it? Okay. See, I feel that pre-litigation. There are examples, Mr. Rakesh Khanna, in other countries. Like, for example, in Italy, for example, you have the opt-out model, where people have to go for at least one session of mediation before coming to the court. And in fact, our Commercial Courts Act also contemplates that aspect of it. Now, government being the biggest litigant, to answer your question, I think where mediation is concerned, there need not be any recourse to 80, Section 80 of the CPC, if mediation has to be explored first. So there can be a law which mandates that, maybe in the new act itself, there can be one more provision added, or I don't know whether it already exists there. Mr. Sriram Panchu will be the best person to throw light on that. I think we can add one provision there if it is not there, that, where government is involved in the dispute. Number one, mediation should be the first option that the government should explore before invoking, or before the other side has to invoke Section 80 to, take the government to court. That is number one. Number two is there has to be some kind of an immunity given to the officials who take part in the mediation and who are part of the decision-making process. Because what we see in most mediations where government is involved, or even where big public sector undertakings are involved, for example, even banks are involved, the problem comes there because the official who represents the particular organization is unable to take decisions, because he's worried that, later on in the audit or in some such thing, there should not be a query against him, or there should not be some allegation of, having taken some maybe illegal gratification to reach a settlement. So that concern is always there. So we have to evolve some mechanism where the officials will be protected against any such action in case they take part in the mediation and they resolve the dispute.
Panchu, sir?
I think pre-institution mediation will go a long way, not just in government cases, but cases of personal, matrimonial, and commercial cases also. As far as government is concerned, they must involve a mechanism by which they have a high-level committee which clears proposals for negotiation and settlement and provides immunity to the officers. Otherwise, I don't think government mediation will work because of the problem that Jawad has mentioned. But the legislation which is being planned, there will be provisions, I think, for pre-institution mediation. It has to be brought in a calibrated way. You must choose the sectors where it is feasible, and then bring it in gradually. But in the long run, I think it will go a long way.
Thank you very much, sir. I think there are a few questions that have come on the chat box. Nandini, shall I put those questions to you?
Jawad, Jawad, if you don't mind, Nandini,
Yes, sir.
I have a session with Justice Venkatachalya at 6 o'clock. So if you don't mind, may I take your leave, please?
Thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much,
very
sir.
for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So there is a question from Karanveer Singh Anand. What are the tips for being a mediator who's as balanced as Nandini ma'am?
Now I'll tell you, Karanveer Anand, I know everybody's name and I remember Karanveer is working in my team and in Karanjawal and Company, and he's a junior most lawyer in my team. And I don't know, I don't take the credit, but I never shout on the juniors. And whatever happens, like if there are some small mistakes, I try to rectify that. And I believe that, writing on WhatsApp and telling them that this is where you are wrong is better than, taking the phone and calling them and telling you have not done this, you have not done, or physically when you're standing in front of each other, or when I am sitting in my office, and I will never try to rectify anybody's defect in front of the other person. I will call the person, I will tell him that this is the problem, you haven't done this, next time be careful. So these are some small tips, that don't try to malign anybody's figure, or give disrespect to any person, a junior or a senior or any human being, which is a quality of a good mediator. For example, they say that confidentiality, when we are having joint sessions, we tell them in the beginning only that don't raise your voice. And if you want to tell us something in private, you're most welcome. And you call one person and the other person. So these are some small tips that, and of course, listening is a very good quality. And Karanveer, you will definitely become a good mediator. You have to buy my book first and read it.
Okay, next question is from Hamdan. He says, Madam, thanks for the wonderful book and the informative session today. What are the 3 top skills, in your opinion, as a mediator need to focus on?
3 top skills as a mediator is, first of all, you have to keep brushing your own knowledge.
Yeah.
There are many things, like just a good listener. If I am a good listener, that doesn't mean that I am a good mediator. I have to have some analytic skills also. So mediation is not only a mediator who is just a felicitator between 2 parties, and gone are those days that when you say that you are like a bridge. And when you talk about conciliation, you have to use your analytic skills, and you have to try and give your options also to the people, because Jawad, correct me because you are my senior, that conciliation is also part of mediator. So you have to, for example, when we do the mediation training, they show us a picture. What do you see in this picture? A will say, I'll see only this. Somebody else will say, I will see a face of an old lady and a young lady. Third person will say something else. So different options, different solutions, how to think about that, how to increase your mental faculties to give options or help parties with their options. For example, if a party is giving one particular option, you can think about something else also. And you, conciliation, definitely we can, a conciliator's job is that only. So first is listening, second is your skills, your analytic skills, and third, according to me, uh, you know what, like if you're getting a mediation, don't get tired, or in one hearing you're not going to solve a matter. So you have to keep on trying. If you feel that the court has, because in court and ex mediation, if the court has given you some time, which is 60 days or 19 days to 90 days for mediation, keep trying. Call the parties. If there is some, fight between the parties, or there is some deadlock, give some time, give break to the parties. So these are certain things which come with experience, and experience and time are the most important things. Slowly we all learn. These are the tricks of the, like they call it, trick of the trade, so tricks of mediation which we learn. And in our country, I don't know, but in UK and in Canada, we saw, when we go for this international academy conference, they allow people, for example, some students also, to join and just see the mediations, and they also fill a form that this is a confidential hearing going on. So the mediators who are doing a for example, if I am doing a mediation, with me one person is attached. That person is not a co-mediator, but he is attached with me. So in private mediation, that person will fill a form of confidentiality, and he will also sit there and learn. So these things are not yet there in our country, but we can try that also at a later stage. So these are the skills we have to slowly evolve in ourselves. And I think we have to keep learning, keep reading books. And the more mediations you do, you understand people, you understand their problems, you understand that, don't think that A is right and B is always wrong. It can be B and A both are right, but they have their own perspective. So this is how a person becomes a good mediator. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandini. Rahul, do we have time to squeeze in 2 more questions? Rahul?
So I think we can take last 2 questions.
Okay. Now there's a question from Andrew Campbell. Is mediation being used more in civil issues as opposed to straight court in India? I think what he probably means is, how good is private mediation going on here?
Jawad, I want you first to answer this question.
Okay, so to answer Andrew, if I understand your question correctly, your question is whether parties prefer to come for mediation rather than go to the court. That's a good question, actually, but the problem in India is still private mediation is yet to take off, what we call as pre-litigation mediation. So though we have some enactments like we have the Commercial Courts Act, which makes it mandatory for the disputing parties to first go for mediation and then exhaust the option and then come to the court. Normally we see that more in the breach, because the law itself creates a couple of exceptions over there. It says if the defendant does not respond to your notice for mediation, you can come to the court, or if you need some urgent interim orders, you can come to the court. I think that those 2 lacunae need to be filled up by the legislature. Maybe they can, impose some costs on the defendant if the defendant unreasonably refuses to go for mediation. And there should also be some provision of law where if an urgent interim order is required, the party can secure that order and then go for mediation. So unless that is done, I think it is not going to happen. It's taking some time, but the good news is that the awareness is increasing and more people are becoming interested in the concept and they want to explore it. So we hope to see, particularly after the pandemic, we found that, mediation is one of the most amenable to online dispute resolution. So mediation is one method which is very good for online resolution. So for online platforms. So that is one good thing that we are witnessing now, and we see sort of a little bit of a surge in private mediation, but not really to the extent that we would like to see happening in a country like India. but hopefully that will change. And what is most encouraging is that the students who are now coming out of the law schools, they are very focused on ADR as the area of practice where they would like to really focus on, because they are so sold out on this whole idea of being problem solvers rather than problem inflamers, as lawyers are known to be. So that is something that holds a very bright future for India. So good question, Andrew. Thank you so much for asking that. Nandini, you want to add anything to that?
Yes. So, Andrew, your question is very good, but in our country, it's what Jawad said rightly, it's going to take time because we are in the lack of proper legislation for mediation. We have been akin to arbitration. So, like, arbitration, conciliation, and mediation, if you separate these three things, mediation is on the, if you say the ladder, we are at the, very, very down. So because of certain laws which are not coming, which we are eagerly waiting, and we have been told, and I understand that in near future we are going to have certain laws. And for example, we were talking about the government department, they are just helpless because nobody is going to take the responsibility, that immune system is not there. And because of that, mediation is going to take a lot of time. And I hope so that in near future, what Jawad was saying, that an online mediation is also a very good concept. The government has to legalize it, I feel. In US and UK, I have seen that there are private mediation. In fact, I was talking to Jawad the other day, and I said, why can't we have private mediation centers in our country? And to that, the answer is that we can't have that. We do have, but then in those mediation centers, only matters which are referred from court are there, and very few matters where people don't go to court, and before going to court, they come to know about a mediator, and then they go and get the matter resolved. The number is very minimal.
Yeah. No, but there are organizations that are coming up which are offering pre-mediation services. We have AMP in Bombay, we have
Yes, yes,
FCDR in Chennai, we have
yeah.
Madhyam in Delhi, we have KD Lex Chambers, we have so many other organizations. CAMP is there in Bangalore,
Camp is there. Camp is,
BIMAC is there,
yes,
BIMAC is there in Bangalore,
yes,
AIIM is there in Kerala. So there are many organizations that are coming up to offer private mediation services as well as training for mediators. Shika Sapra has added that, in continuation of what Andrew has asked, pre-litigation mediation is getting very common in the Delhi High Court Mediation Center, but it's not mandatory.
yes.
So, yeah, one question, if you have the time, Naveen Kumar has said, Nandini ma'am, do you think there should be a pre-litigation mediation in all matrimonial and family matter litigations? I will not trouble Nandini with that question because the
It
outright
is
answer is
already there.
yes, yes.
It is already there. That cooling off period of 6 months is
Yeah,
because of that only. That
yes.
when you file the first motion, the
Mhm.
court tells you that
Yeah,
try and resolve your issues. So it is already there, Naveen.
yeah. Okay, so I think we come to an end of that, and there are a few more questions, but that will take a very long time for us to
Next time
answer.
we will do
Hopefully, we should
when
be. Yeah.
Sheila ma'am, thank you very much for attending.
You're muted, Sheila Ben.
Yeah, it was very nice session. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sheila Ben. Thank you. So, Rahul, Mr. Rakesh, you want to say something, Mr. Rakesh Khanna? Santanam?
Oh, thank you very much, Javed sir, and thank you, Nandini. Thanks for writing such a nice book, giving everybody, even a newcomer will get a absolute fair idea and guidance to be a mediator. I think your book will be a good stimulation and source for lawyers to become part of the mediation movement. And thank you very much, Javed sir, for beautifully conducting today's talk. and especially your rapid fire session. Oh, my hamper goes to Nandini. I'll send it physically.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks
for the
everybody for
opportunity.
joining.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. Santanam, you want to say something? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.